This is Brian with ScreenFiles.com and Review. What I'm talking about today is 2018's Shadow. And this is a remarkable movie for lots of reasons. Its story essentially revolves around political intrigues within this Chinese kingdom. And I know what you're saying, oh my God, who wants to see that? Trust me, it's well worth it. What makes this movie so visually startling is that it's done in shades of black and white and gray, except for people's faces and hands and so on. Those are flesh tone. But technically speaking, I'm trying to figure out how they did this. I think in some instances it's done by having, let's say they're in like a throne room. Everything is shades of black, white, and gray. That's it. Clothing, same thing. Shades of black, white, and gray. And so that's how they do those type of scenes. There's scenes that take place in like a town, let's say. That's a little different. I actually think those are shot in black and white. What I'm assuming they didn't do was make that whole town. If they didn't make it, they could have just as easily have made it in black and white and gray. But I don't know that, and I get the feeling that's not the case because so much of it is monotone. So I get the feeling that that was filmed in black and white. As you could probably tell, I'm not even sure how they did all this, but it's so well done. The story of these political intrigues and the shadow is actually a lookalike of the commander who gets into all sorts of issues with the king. And it's just so well acted. It's so interesting. It's so beautiful to look at. But I think its strongest point in its favor is that there's not a lot of wire food. If you've seen movies like Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, The Matrix, and on and on and on, you get these images where people are on wires and they're doing these athletic, almost ballet-like movements that are impossible unless you're on a wire. And initially, I first saw that with The Matrix, and it was very interesting for me. But the thing is, after a point, I started to get tired of it. For instance, I started to watch Into the Badlands, which is also on Netflix, like Shadow, and it's tiring. Tiring because you have these people with these physical abilities. It's all wire work. But this looks silly and just distracting, to be totally honest with you. Shadow takes the opposite approach in that there is wire work in Shadow, I'm positive, but it's very unobtrusive and it doesn't happen obviously very much. So when people are fighting, it's very visceral, it's very reality based, and they don't tend to do things that are beyond the ability of a above average athlete to do. And that's really interesting to watch because it becomes about humans. As much as I enjoyed the Matrix movies, well, I should say, as much as I enjoyed the original Matrix, the sequels, not so much. But as much as I enjoyed that movie, the fighting scenes were just kind of overdone and just too much, and it grew tiring. Though with Shadow, as I said, you get virtually none of that. So the fights are engaging, the look is gorgeous. It's a taut, well-done movie. It's like The Phantom Menace in one respect, in that both movies revolve around politics and people acting within the political sphere. But Shadow is so engaging and beautiful to look at, and perhaps most importantly, a lot of its FX, like with the wire work, is not visible. They do some really impressive things in this movie, but you can't necessarily see through it. And that's, for me, such an important thing, because it allows me to lose myself in the narrative. When I can see through the technology, which unfortunately is most movies I see, to be totally honest, it becomes not bad, but less interesting for me on a narrative level. Because I know I'm watching a special effect of some sort, and that doesn't engage me. Conversely, if I could bring up Avengers Endgame for a moment, that's why Thanos was so fascinating and contributed to that movie being as awesome as it was. He transcended special effects. He is a special effect, but just visually speaking, he became more than that. And you could, at least for me, I kind of didn't even think of him as a special effect. You see a lot of that in Shadow. It transcends the special effects and just mainlines you in narrative. Great movie, well worth your time. Check out Shadow on Netflix, and I believe it's on Amazon as well. This is Brian with ScreenFiles.com and Review.